Episode 2. They stood there in silence. Min-ho, still groggy from sleep, became acutely aware of the warmth around his wrist. Hyung-woo's grip was steady, firm, like he was used to holding people in place. Min-ho finally broke the silence. His voice came out quieter than he intended. "You're still here?" Hyung-woo didn't flinch, his expression unmoved. Calm, almost indifferent. "I never left," he replied. Min-ho frowned. Jisoo had told him Hyung-woo was always at the hospital, barely coming home. If he had been here all along, why hadn't Jisoo mentioned it? The air between them fell off. Min-ho shifted, clearing his throat as he tried to pull his wrist free. "I just needed water," he muttered. Hyung-woo tilted his head slightly, then simply said, "The kitchen's that way." He stepped aside, making room for Min-ho to pass. Without another word, Min-ho walked into the kitchen, and when he turned back around, he was gone, vanished into the dark corners of the house. "Dude, you look like you've seen a ghost." Jisoo's voice jolted Min-ho from his thoughts. They were in the cafeteria, trays of food in front of them. "Huh." Min-ho blinked, still distracted. Jisoo smirked, shoveling a spoonful of rice into his mouth. "You've been zoned out all morning. Spill it. What happened?" Min-ho hesitated. Should he say it? That Hyung-woo had been home last night? No, it wasn't a big deal. He wasn't going to make it one. "Nothing happened," Min-ho said flatly, stabbing at his food. Jisoo squinted at him, suspiciously, but let it go. Then, suddenly, his face lit up with a grin. "Oh, by the way," he leaned in, his eyes glinting with mischief. "What do you think of my brother?" Min-ho frowned. "What do you mean?" Jisoo wiggled his eyebrows. "He's hot, right?" Min-ho nearly choked on his drink, coughing so hard a few heads turned in their direction. "What the hell?" he sputtered. Jisoo burst out laughing, slapping his knee like it was the funniest thing in the world. "Relax. I'm kidding. But seriously," he added, still grinning, "people always tell me Hyung-woo looks handsome, but mysterious. I don't get it though. He's cold all the time, even with me." Min-ho didn't respond. He wasn't interested in Hyung-woo's looks. But mysterious? Yeah, that part was true. Later that afternoon, as Min-ho and Jisoo walked home, his phone buzzed. His mother. The call was strange this time. His grandmother in Seoul had been hospitalized. His mother assured him it wasn't serious, but she and his father would be staying in Seoul for a few days until she was discharged. "You can stay at our house," Jisoo said immediately, flashing an apologetic smile, like he knew this wasn't exactly good news. That evening, as soon as they got home, Jisoo kicked off his shoes and turned to Min-ho. "Want to watch a movie? You mean you want to force me to watch something you like?" "Exactly." Jisoo grinned and yanked Min-ho into the living room, shoving him onto the couch. Then, a soft knock at the door. Min-ho looked up just as Hyung-woo stepped inside, still dressed from work. He looked like he belonged in a sleek office somewhere, not standing in their living room. Min-ho wasn't expecting to feel anything seeing him again, but his mind betrayed him. Flashes of last night. Min-ho shook the thought off. It didn't matter. "I'm on call tonight," Hyung-woo said, his voice cutting through the room. "Don't call me unless you're dying." Jisoo rolled his eyes dramatically. "Wow, so loving. Love you too, Hyung-woo didn't react, didn't even blink. But for a second, just one, his gaze flickered toward Min-ho. Then he turned and walked out, the door clicking shut behind him. Min-ho stared at the empty space he had left behind. For some reason, that moment felt unfinished. Later that night, after Jisoo had long since passed out, Min-ho got up. The house was quiet as he walked down the dim hallway, his bare feet cold against the floor. As he passed by Hyung-woo's study, he noticed the door was slightly open. Then he heard a voice. Hyung-woo's voice. Low, quiet, serious. "I'm exhausted," he murmured. A pause. "I told you. I can't do this anymore." Min-ho's grip on the doorframe tightened. Another pause. Then, softer, almost tired. "If you really loved me, why would you do this to me?" Silence followed. Then the call ended. Min-ho stood frozen for what felt like minutes before slowly backing away. Lying in bed, he couldn't stop thinking about it. Who had Hyung-woo been talking to? What did he mean? Should he tell Jisoo? Min-ho turned onto his side, staring at the ceiling. No, not yet. But the question gnawed at him, lingering long into the night. The first thing Min-ho noticed when he woke up was the cold. Jisoo had left the window open, and a sharp morning breeze crept into the room, making him shiver. Jisoo was still snoring beside him, his face buried in a pillow. Min-ho got up, stretched, and padded downstairs. His throat felt a little scratchy, and he coughed lightly as he stepped into the kitchen. There, Standing by the counter was Hyung-woo, one hand wrapped around a steaming mug while the other flipped through a thick medical textbook. He looked even more exhausted than before. For some reason, Min-ho hesitated. He could just grab some water and go back upstairs. But something made him stay. "You're up early," he muttered before he could stop himself. Hyung-woo barely reacted. "Doctors don't get to sleep in." Min-ho nodded, unsure of what to say next. Why did this feel so awkward? Just as he was about to turn and leave, Hyung-woo spoke again. "There's extra coffee." Min-ho froze. That sounded like an invitation. Sort of. Without looking at him, Hyung-woo nudged a second mug across the counter. Min-ho eyed it, hesitating. Was this just politeness? Either way, the coffee smelled good, and he was cold. So, without a word, he sat down and took the cup. For a while, they sat there in silence, sipping their coffee. It was the longest they'd ever been around each other without Ji-soo filling the space between them. And strangely, it wasn't terrible. That afternoon, Ji-soo was stuck with student council duties, so Min-ho walked home alone. As he passed the hospital, he spotted a familiar figure standing outside near the entrance. Hyung-woo. He was talking with someone. For some reason, Min-ho slowed down. Here, outside the hospital, he looked different. Not just Ji-soo's cold older brother. A doctor. A professional. Someone important. And then before he could stop it, the thought hit. Does he have a girlfriend? Min-ho shook it off. Why would I care? But just then, Hyung-woo looked up. Their eyes met. Min-ho's breath hitched. Min-ho turned away. Fast. By the time he reached Ji-soo's house, he was still thinking about Hyung-woo. At Ji-soo's house, he sat in Ji-soo's room, lost in thought. Then, a soft knock on the door. He got up and opened it, only to come face to face with Hyung-woo. Min-ho almost stepped back. Hyung-woo. Hyung-woo's face was unreadable as always. Then, without a word, he lifted his hand. Min-ho looked down. He was holding a bottle of cold medicine. Ji-soo said you were coughing earlier, Hyung-woo said flatly. Min-ho blinked. I wasn't. Hyung-woo shrugged. He thought you were? Min-ho slowly took the bottle, thrown off by the gesture. He wasn't sick. Hyung-woo didn't need to do this. Yet he had. Thanks, Min-ho muttered. Hyung-woo didn't respond. He just turned and walked away, like it was nothing. But for some reason, it didn't feel like nothing. The next day, in the cafeteria, Min-ho barely touched his food. Ji-soo sighed. I feel bad for Hyung, you know? Min-ho glanced up. Why? He had to be perfect. Ever since he was a kid, my parents pushed him like crazy. That's why he's like this. Min-ho hesitated. But they don't push you? Ji-soo snorted. They tried. But I suck at studying, so they gave up. They don't care about me like that. Hyung is their everything. The words sat heavy between them. And then, before Min-ho could stop himself, does he have a girlfriend? Ji-soo blinked, then burst out laughing. Hyung-woo? No way. Min-ho's grip tightened around his fork. He used to. A serious thing. Years ago. After they broke up, he changed. Got colder. No friends. Nothing. Min-ho's stomach twisted. Why'd they break up? No clue. He never talks about it. Min-ho stared at his untouched food. Hyung-woo wasn't just naturally cold. Something or someone had made him that way. And that realization sat uncomfortably in his chest. But now, did he have someone new? For some reason, Min-ho wanted to know. And he wasn't sure why.
I'll find you against the